Hi everyone, panel, and it's sad news that unfortunately the Ukrainian plane that was shot down. Now that the Iranian government has acknowledged that it was unintentionally shot down on their behalf. So they admitted now that the plane, the Ukrainian flight that was shot down in Iran, the Iranian government has acknowledged that they indeed shot it down unintentionally. So I can read some tweets here that just came out from the Iranian authorities. So a sad day. Preliminary conclusions of internal investigation by the armed forces. Human error at time of crisis caused by U.S. adventurism led to disaster. Our profound regrets and condolences to our people. So the families of all victims and to other affected nations. And there's a little heart there. Also, the president of Iran, Hassan Rouhani, he also tweeted out that the armed forces internal investigation has concluded that regrettably missiles fired due to human error caused the horrific crash of the Ukrainian plane and death of 176 innocent people. Investigations in 52. So this is about an hour ago from the Iranian president. Also, he stated here the Islamic Republic of Iran deeply regrets this disastrous mistake. My thoughts and prayers go to all the mourning families. I offer my sincerest condolences. So, about, I would say, it's almost 40 down, and I guess they must have opened up the black box in Iran, and they did their investigations, and I think there's no running away from it. There's a lot of footage that just got out in the media, and there's nothing else. And I would say from the situation, it seems it's unintentional. I don't think it would be wise that any party would intentionally shoot down a plane. Now it's not very clear that happened, and why the airport was still operating at a time where there's trading and missiles being sent back and forth between Iran and Iraq. So the situation keep the airport running and allow flights to leave Tehran at that time, the Imam Khomeini airport. So it was a very, I guess they were trying to flee the country, and then they were in the middle of their flight from the airport, and they started, I guess, on their way. They were about to return back to the airport, and unfortunately, the missile hit the plane. So I think it was just maybe a tragic series of events that most likely it was, as they mentioned, unintentional, because it doesn't serve any party to go and bomb a commercial airplane with 176 passengers on board, something that has not happened in Iran in terms of missiles hitting commercial airplanes. I think it was just war doesn't really lead to much, right? War leads to destruction, and who really suffers in the end is the common person, right? It doesn't really change much. It may change the characters involved in power, may change the political parties in power, etc. But in the end, it's the common person, the civilians that suffer. So, our deepest condolences to the families. At least the Iranian government and leadership didn't really try to hide or didn't stay in denial. They came out and they admitted that it was a mistake on their behalf. They offered their condolences. They stepped up to the plate and admitted that it was a mistake that happened on their behalf, and they were sincerely sorry for it. I think that's a good venture of faith and It shows that although there is a lot of problems in the country, a lot of problems in the region, but there's still people that have humanity, and they want to maintain that notion that there is still good people there, and they want to offer their condolences to the families, because again, most of the people there were Iranian background and descent. So again, we can see that the airplane that was the Ukrainian airplane that crashed was actually shot down. So, and this was admitted now by the Iranian government. Let's see what they say here in Al Jazeera. I see dated. So okay, so disastrous mistake. Ukrainian jetliner killing all 176 on board. The military said it was at its highest level of readiness amid the heightened tensions with the United States. In such a condition, because of human error, it apologized and said it would upgrade its systems to prevent future tragedies. My thoughts and prayers go to all the mourning families. I offer my sincerest condolences. Adding that investigations continue to identify and prosecute this great tragedy and unforgivable mistake. Iran had denied for several days that a missile downed the aircraft, but then the U.S. and Canada, citing intelligence, said they believe Iran shot down the aircraft. Well, you can't really deny when a plane is video. You have a video of a plane being hit with missiles and then blowing up in the middle of the air. So we can't. It's obvious that they had to come out and speak that this is what happened. And there's a video here. What is obvious for us and what we can say with certainty is that no missile hit the plane. This was in the initial, on Friday, the initial statement. So initially they said it was impossible due to coordination between Iran's air defense and civil aviation department. But I think, they should have just, in my opinion, they should have just not allowed any planes to leave the airport. It's too volatile, and missiles are being sent back and forth. It was a very bad move to even let the plane go from the airport. Just cancel the flight and wait till the situation subsides. I don't think it was at a point where the U.S. was going to go into an all-out war. It's not very wise, and I think we all know Trump was playing some cards, right? He wasn't really gonna go on an all-out war with Iran. It's not. I don't think it's at that. Go and change the regime. He doesn't want to get into this conflict. So yeah, I think it wasn't a really good move to even allow planes to fly out from the airport. It was not really wise that that Ukrainian plane actually left the airport at that time. Okay, is there any other info we can see? Questions are now being raised as to why Iranian authorities kept the country's airspace open during a military operation. Okay, there's a lot of explaining to do by Iranian authorities. People want to know why and how it happened. But again, okay, like we can shift the blame to the Iranian authorities, which is, they do hold all responsibility for this situation. But I think the Ukrainian aircraft carrier, like the Ukrainian airlines as well, needs to hold a responsibility. They know that they're in a volatile region. Their countries are calling their civilians to leave the country ASAP, but they're watching the news to see that, hey, there's missiles being sent to bases in Iraq, and they're going to retaliate. Is it safe? Do you think they should have consulted? I would say at least with their country, the Ukrainian maybe the aviation leadership there, the ministry there. Is it safe for them to leave? Because situation is volatile. They should have took some sort of due diligence on their behalf to make sure maybe did they get any affirmations from the Iranian regime that, or the Iranian aviation authority that, yeah, you could fly your plane out and it's going to be safe? I think there more needs to be involved here in terms of the investigation. Okay. So at least, most of them, they didn't blame it completely on the U.S. They did accept the responsibility. They apologized. They sent their condolences, but they also mentioned that it's U.S. adventurism that led to the disaster. So our profound regrets, apologies, and condolences to our people, to the families of all victims, and to the affected nations. So, okay. This is the right step for the Iranian government to admit responsibility, and it gives people a step toward closure with this admission, said Payman Farsayan, a prominent Iranian Canadian in Western Canada who lost a number of friends in the crash. I think the investigation would have disclosed it whether they admitted it or not. This will give them an opportunity to save their face. Okay, so, all right. Any other info coming out from here? Let's take a look at New York Times. So, okay, as Iranian authorities, as I mentioned, they accepted responsibility for downing the aircraft, the Ukrainian aircraft. The situation there, they admitted the responsibility. It was an error on their behalf. They send their deepest condolences to the affected families and victims of the Ukrainian airplane crash, majority who were of Iranian descent, but going to various countries. They also do mention that just because of the UL situation, I think it was good that they came out and they admitted before in the initial denials. It's a very good step, a good leap of faith to show that they do hold some sort of still honesty and I would say some sort of humanity still, they're showing that there is humanity. It's a good thing. But let's see if there's anything else. So human error. Okay, it's the same statements. They send their regrets. This is a disastrous mistake. The military said the person responsible would face legal consequences. Okay. The military said the person responsible would face legal consequences. Oh, okay. So they're gonna, I guess, the person who shot the missiles is gonna face legal consequences. They're maybe in the military court. Had been building on Iran to take responsibility. American and Allied intelligence assessments had already concluded that Iranian missiles brought down the plane. So the little credibility that the Islamic Republic had amongst its supporters suffered a major blow tonight, said Ruzbe Mir Ibrahim, an independent Iranian analyst in New York and a consultant to the United Nations. This tragedy undermines the image Iran has cultivated as a military power and weakened its significance both regionally and internationally. On social media, Iranians began expressing anger toward the military soon after the announcement, many of them using the term harshest revenge, which officials had repeatedly promised in the wake of the American drone strike that killed Major Qasem Soleimani. Oh, okay. So one journalist wrote, they were supposed to take their harsh revenge against America, not the people. Now, okay, absolutely, no, this is true, but if it's a technical error, if I know it's a very costly mistake, but if it's unintentional, again, there has to be more information. Well, what really happened? Who gave the order to shoot? And was it how did that happen, right? And did they mistakenly think it was something like a another missile? There has to be more into this investigation as opposed to just admitting to the unintentional part, right? So important to know who's involved here and how that error happened. So it can happen to any country, right? It could have happened in Iraq. It could have happened elsewhere. And I saw that, I believe, with this was going on with the Malaysia Airlines not too long ago, where there was a lot of word back and forth that it was shot down, uh, although no one really admitted that. That was not admitted. Okay, the military said it would undertake major reform in operations of all armed forces to make sure that such an error never happened again. Okay. I think they need to go. For sure, the Iranians asked the NTSB to help with the investigation. Okay, interesting. I think the NTSB, they initially refused to go unless they were required to or asked to. So the NTSB and the State Department granted waivers to allow American agency to help. Interesting. A senior administration official said Friday that he thought the Iranians wanted American investigators there to keep up the appearance that they did not know what had caused the crash. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think the more information needs to be uh, sought after. Definitely, it has to. Um, there has to be more to this situation. More details to this investigation need to be revealed to know exactly the details of this crash. At the same time, at least they came out and they admitted to the situation, that they held responsibility and didn't sort of keep it in the dark, right? So I would say they need to perform more detailed investigation. And I would say the first question would be like, why did the plane even why was the plane allowed to leave the airport, and were they flying back at whose orders exactly? When there has to be more details so that people's families that were affected in this tragedy can know more of how the situation occurred, um, and know who's responsible. Okay. So I don't see much else here. Okay, our goal is to ascertain that the undeniable truth that Mr. Zelensky said in a statement on Friday. We believe this is the responsibility of the whole international community before the families of the dead and the memory of the victims of the catastrophe. Yeah. Again, our prayers go out to the families of the deceased. Um, it's not easy to lose people that are close to you, family members. It's really, really hard situation. We don't wish that upon anyone. And just unforeseen situation happening in the Middle East. We just, hope for peace and hope for prosperity, and hopefully the truth comes out and things get resolved. At least it's a leap of faith that we now know it was a missile, and for sure, and there is some truth coming out. So we'll just wait and see until the investigation is concluded and what happens in the next few days. Okay, so I'm going to end the broadcast. Thanks for visiting my channel, and if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I'll be posting more videos about health, about news, nutrition, and yeah, so take care. Thanks.